we've talked about, I think one of the biggest, you know, factors, or one of the things that us three kind of emphasize now that I've learned from you guys, honestly, is, the importance of alts, right? For me, it's like, fresh. Like they're all different. Like when V4 comes out, you're gonna have all these classes that you can get excited for, right? It's not just
Mhm.
one class.
Yeah.
Rebalances, like eh, multiple classes, one class, like it's always exciting. And I always recommend alt story. What for you guys, right? You guys have alt at the highest level. Um, what kind of what would you tell someone that, I guess, is trying to progress, the most financially friendly, um, sustainable way, right? I think alts also help with kind of that burnout, right? Like,
Mhm.
what would you say to someone that like is trying to get into alt story, or trying to level up multiple um, characters and eventually progress to um, getting multiple characters at, maybe not end game, but at least like close to end game bossing?
Do you want to start first, Edward?
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about bringing your ults to bossing level, at minimum, I would have one supporter class,
Yep.
like either a phantom or a paladin. I think right now both of those classes are very free to play friendly, and I think before the crit res change, paladin was one of those classes where you can actually have a leeching paladin in arc and still be fine. So I mean, I, it's very hard to recommend alts right now because of Legion as well. Because if you're talking about bossing, you definitely need to keep your Legion up, and Legion in this game is actually really expensive.
Mm.
Unless you're doing, even if you're doing the free to play method, you're still allocating a lot more resources than you should be, and you're when you're trying to upgrade your main as well, you can't really multitask like that to be extremely efficient. So I mean, the only way that I can see it for free to play or a mid tier player is try to have a support class. We kind of see a Gnosis using like really, I want to say shitty shade, but like low cap shade, and they could still do lucid because of their split. So
Mhm.
it, you have to just find a class that is utility wise is very good for team, and it'll probably work out well. But other than that, I don't see a DPS class being a really good alt
Yeah.
unless you have the wallet for it at least.
Yeah.
Guess what it comes down to for when you're trying to create a second character or alts, you would have to make a decision whether you want to allocate resources into that character or not, right? Because if you if your end goal is trying to do a certain boss, you're gonna have to put a lot of work into it,
Yeah.
right? You have to deviate your resources from your main if that's what you want to do to your other character in order to do this content. But I typically don't really allocate a lot of resources. At most, it's probably just nodes for it.
Yeah.
I like you know I have multiple
Mhm.
accounts characters, and I invested in nodes because so they can for farm at AF 170 more efficiently because so faster you kill the more quote unquote mess those nodes you get.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the like the misconceptions, or like when people see us playing, me playing my Demon Slayer, my Paladin, um, people don't understand that, I've had those characters for a while, right? I mean,
Mhm.
yes, we do like allocate resources from our main and such not, and like invest in them, but I think
It
like
funnels back, yeah, eventually.
it does, right? And I think the most important thing is, like, the best advice I could give is, like, don't look at like right now as like when you want to get into bossing, right? Unless you want to, time is money, but like
Mhm.
look like after V4. Like for my Demon Slayer, right? I was trying to, my goal when I started to gear it was to try and get to like hard Damien, or get to a certain gear level by V4, right? Because I knew that rebalance was coming, right? that V4 was coming. So like the cap that was, or the gear that was required today is not what is required 4 months down the line, 6 months down the line. And when you start to think of it that way, like it doesn't seem as like impossible. It doesn't seem like
Yeah.
such a hard task, but like as long as you start to like you don't forget about it, right? You start to like do some put some resources every month, right? Do your events on it, make sure you um try to improve it in some ways, like build your CDD armies or whatnot. Um right now it's tough, right? Like to get it so quickly, but the requirements to boss come easier and easier, right? Just what Lotus was like the same time last year or whatever, or Damien, it's not what it's going to take today versus after V4. So I think that still it's very like we're getting multiple stones, right? Lotus or Lotus stones. We're getting even arc. Like if you're getting arc, you get multiple opportunities at primals. It all pays itself back eventually. Um, but yeah, those support classes and kind of just having that mental timeline of not really of kind of pacing yourself. It gets easier to um, clear stuff when they start having more rebalances, more updates, and things like that.